With only a week left in Barnes & Noble's infamous Criterion sale, I'm going to tell you about 11 releases maybe you should pick up. Let's jump right in and go through these real quick, shall we? First up we have Brian De Palma's Blowout on 4K. Now this was an upgrade for me from Blu-ray to 4K, and I must say, if you're in the same boat and wondering if you should upgrade, I highly recommend it. This is one of my favorite films of all time, one of my favorite De Palma films of all time. John Travolta, Nancy Allen, John Lithgow. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's classic Brian De Palma thriller, and John Travolta everyone gives great performances. I won't even hold it all to Travolta. I do have to say the upgrade was worth it on this. This one has Dolby Vision, and man, the HDR really does kick on this one. Like I said, totally worth an upgrade. If you're on the fence about upgrading this one, you should get it. So check out Blowout. Next up, we have a film that I really don't think needs an introduction or much to talk about it anyway, and that is Blue Velvet on 4K. David Lynch's 80s classic, his most accessible film, as I've always said. Looks great in 4K HDR, another Dolby Vision upgrade, another Blu-ray upgrade for me. Highly worth it. Not going to say anything else. It's Blue Velvet. Go get this 4K. Next up, we got three comedy classics that I loved since my teenage years, and I'm going to roll through them very quickly, and that is The Breakfast Club on Blu-ray. So sadly, this one does not have a 4K yet. Now, I don't know if that's ever going to happen or not, but you can be damn sure that when it does, I'll be there to upgrade it. This is one of my favorite films of all time. Favorite John Hughes movie. It's about a bunch of kids in detention. What else can I say about this? It's a classic, so pick it up.
Who cares?
Next up, another 90s classic, Dazed and Confused on 4K. This is another 4K disc that I think is very well worth the upgrade. One of my favorite films of all time. Dazed and Confused is a 90s classic about a day in the life of many teenagers as they go through their last day of school, and it's a hangout movie. It's one of the best movies ever made. If you haven't seen it, go see it. But the upgrade is worth it on this one too.
That's what you're talking about. That's what I'm talking about, man. Oh man, I'm fucking wasted.
And lastly, another movie that's gotten me through my teenage years, and that was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas on 4K. So this is another 4K upgrade for me. I suggest you upgrade it too if you love this film. Hopefully this is the last time we have to buy this, because man, I've bought this movie in almost every format so far.
Jesus God almighty, look at that bunch over there, man. They've spotted us.
Fear and Loathing, it's an amazing trip. I don't know what else to say other than check this one out if you're into crazy, over-the-top movies. Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro are amazing in this. Terry Gilliam's directing is flawless. And of course, this was a film that was panned during its 1998 theatrical release and has now grown on to achieve cult status. I do also have to say that the 4K on this is worth the upgrade from Blu-ray, because if you're considering getting the Arrow 4K, they use the same master, so you can stick with this one and it'll be cheaper, and it's Criterion, baby.
Jesus, did I say that? I was just thinking. Was I talking? Did they hear me?
Next up, we have a horror film hidden gem, and that is 1977's House on Blu-ray. So this isn't on 4K yet, this is only the Blu-ray, but you can get this very cheap from the Criterion sale. It's going to cost you about 20 bucks. So, House is a nice little hidden gem because it's a Japanese film kind of described on the back of the box as an episode of Scooby-Doo directed by Mario Bava. It's a film about a bunch of young ladies who go and stay at one of the ladies' aunt's house, and hence the title House. And it's haunted. It's spooky. There's some crazy cat. There's some... This movie is just crazy. I'll let the clip do the talking for me on this one, to be honest.
House.
私あなたを救えなかった。
You should really check out House if you haven't yet. Next up, another film that really needs no introduction, and that is Night of the Living Dead on 4K. Now, this was an upgrade for me for Blu-ray to 4K, and you're probably asking me, what's the difference? You can go on Capsaholic and look and check them out for yourself, but in full honesty, I just wanted it for the hard case. The original Blu-ray comes in a digipack. I'm not a huge fan of digipacks, and I'd rather have a hard case for this one. This is one of my favorite films of all time. Classic horror film that started it all. I don't need to really talk anything else about it, but the transfer looks good on this. If you do go with the Blu-ray's fine too. There's nothing wrong with it. Both of these have been restored, I believe with help from the George Lucas Foundation. They've done some good restoration work. This film looks fantastic on Blu-ray or 4K, so either way you go, you can't lose.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Next up, we have two of Jackie Chan's best films ever, and that is a double pack of Police Story and Police Story 2 on Blu-ray. This isn't on 4K either, but it also should run you only about 20 bucks. This is a great introduction to Jackie Chan's filmography. If you're not familiar with things like Rumble in the Bronx or Drunken Master, and you want another place to jump off, go with Police Story 1 and 2. These are fantastic films. They're basic, they're by the numbers, but the acting, the stunts, the comedy in them, these two movies just, man, get your buddies together, get some beers and some buds. You'll have a great time with this. Jackie Chan is the master, and man, I mean, what's better than two great Jackie Chan movies for 20 bucks? Worth it. Next up, I have a Wes Anderson film, and being a white guy, it was really hard just picking one of them. So I went with the one that I think is his best film of all time, and that is The Royal Tenenbaums. So suspiciously, none of Wes's films have been released on 4K through Criterion, but I don't doubt that it's coming one day. So I'm going to have to rebuy all of these again, but The Royal Tenenbaums, in my opinion, is his magnum opus. It has an ensemble cast. The story touches your heart. It makes you laugh. Honestly, I think this is his best film. And honestly, if you want to fight about it in the comments, let's fight about it in the comments. But Royal Tenenbaums is my favorite Wes Anderson.
Can't somebody be a jerk their whole life and try to repair the damage?
You probably don't even know my middle name.
That's a trick question. You don't have one.
Helen.
Next up, we have a cult classic that I was glad to see back in the day when it was still relatively new, and that is Shallow Grave on Blu-ray. Shallow Grave is Danny Boyle's first film. It's right before he did Trainspotting with Ewan McGregor, and Ewan McGregor is in this along with two other actors who play his roommates. Basically, the three of them are friends, and they share an apartment in Scotland, and they have an extra room and they need to rent it out, and so somebody applies, and he dies from a drug overdose. I'm not giving away too much, trust me. The rest of the movie is about what they do with all of the money that they find next to the body, and then what they do with the body and repercussions from that. This movie is very Hitchcockian. First feature film, Danny Boyle knocks it out of the park with this movie. His direction's tight. The film is suspenseful. It's funny. Ewan McGregor is very likable in it. If you're an Ewan McGregor fan, highly recommended. If you're just a film of thrillers and Hitchcockian suspense movies, check out Shallow Grave.
If you can't trust your friends, well, what then? What then?
So lastly, as my 11th pick, I have to say that it's another Danny Boyle film on 4K, and that's Trainspotting.
What's on the menu this evening, sir?
So Trainspotting is one of my favorite films of all time. It's top 10 in my book. It's something I watched a lot growing up in high school back in the mid-90s. I can quote every line. I learned how to do a Scottish accent because of this movie. I went and visited Edinburgh, Scotland, and went to a lot of the filming locations that took place, where they get hit by the car in the beginning and they're running down the street. I went there. It was awesome. If you don't know, Trainspotting follows the life of a few heroin addicts in mid-80s Edinburgh, Scotland. And this film is very stylistic. It's very punchy and poppy with great music, soundtrack choices, great angles, just a very memorable movie all around. If you're into comedy and dramas, a movie that might make you laugh, but then might make you, feel bad or sick or depressed, and then make you laugh again, but then turns out to be very poignant also as well. Trainspotting is one of my favorite films of all time, and I won't wax intellectual too much about this, but I do have to say I got this on 4K, and I love this custom cover I got from Etsy, because the original cover is this monstrosity. And I did another video about it where I talk about the custom cover that I just showed you, but this is a nightmare of a package. The discs slip in through the top, and this whole package is very flimsy and opens and closes with this little flap right here. It's a nightmare. I hate this thing. So I went online and found a custom cover that works out very well. It's got the spine. I mean, it looks great. I'm sorry, but I have to take a minute to show it off. It's really great. So talking about the movie here, the 4K presentation of this is fantastic. Highly recommended. I know there was some discussion about the color grading, but I can fully say with full confidence, this is the release you want of Trainspotting. It's director approved, it's Criterion, it's 4K, and you really need a custom cover with it unless you want to deal with that, envelope monstrosity. So my last recommendation, Trainspotting. So what did you think of my picks? Let me know in the comments below. What have you picked up or are planning on picking up? Also, please don't forget to like this video, share and subscribe, and as always, keep those eyes red, baby. See ya.
Chicks cannot hold their smoke. That's what it is.
Bullshit, 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 bullshit.
Fuck me, right?